This presidential race, one candidate has been the showstopper. He's won people over by promising wonderful things.
I will be the greatest jobs president that God ever created. I tell you that. We're going to have win after win after win. You people are going to get sick and tired of winning.
I can't wait. I want to win. Maybe Trump will make us all winners. But I doubt it. It's possible, but I doubt it. Though I have to admire the art of the author of The Art of the Deal. He just sloughs off criticism. When told he polls poorly among women, he just says, I'll be the best thing that ever happened to women. When his opponents say evangelicals won't support you, Trump said the same thing.
I'll be the best thing that ever happened to him. I mean that, 100%.
Told he wasn't acting presidential, Trump said this.
I can be more presidential than anybody. More presidential than anybody other than the great Abe Lincoln. He was very presidential, right?
What's that mean? But apparently people like hearing boasts like that. Growing up, my mother told me, don't brag, don't exaggerate, people won't like you. But lots of people love Donald Trump, even though he brags and says things like this.
My people are so smart. And you know what else they say about my people? The polls. They say, I have the most loyal people. Did you ever see that? Where I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay? It's like incredible.
He could shoot someone? Monica Crowley covers politics for Fox. You'll vote for Donald Trump over Hillary.
Hi, John. Yes, if Donald Trump is the nominee, absolutely I will vote for him.
And he doesn't really believe he could shoot someone and not lose voters.
No, and afterwards he said that was hyperbole. I was just making an example. But there's an important point to be made here, John. The presidency is a personification of how most of the American people want the country to act at home and abroad. So, every presidential election is a direct result of the presidency that came before it. So I think what you're seeing with Donald Trump is less about him, per se, and more about what he represents and his style. It's brash, it's flamboyant, it's tough, but it acts with strength and authority. And after 8 years of Barack Obama, who is largely perceived as being relatively weak at home and abroad, people want somebody who is going to lead and restore America. His slogan, Make America Great Again, there's a reason why it has such great resonance.
Yes, we have the hats here, but I don't want to be led. We're not sheep. And this talk of strength frightens me. I mean, strength often means tyrants.
But don't you want a strong president who's going to lead the United States as the beacon of freedom in the world and to lead us at home?
Strong president. We're going to bully other people?
No.
We're going to put up tariffs so everything costs more?
No, but to stand up for American interests, which after 8 years of this president, people feel that American interests have been trampled.
Stand up for American interests?
Freedom, democracy in the world,
Well,
oppress people like the Christians in the Middle East.
We're going to attack more
No, nobody is saying that. But when the United States is strong in real terms, John, and or perceived as strong around the world, we know what happens. We know that our adversaries, the bad guys around the world, take their foot off the brake, or they at least think twice before they act.
Or they get more mad and want to kill us even more.
That's generally not been the lesson of history. The lesson of history is that when the United States is weak or perceived as weak, the bad guys advance, the good guys retreat, and the wheels come off the world, and you have major cataclysms like World War I, World War II. The American people are not ready for the United States to be number 2 in the world or not even number 10. And that's where this president
Republican primary voters clearly are buying this, but odds are he's not going to become president. He's way behind in election betting odds when I look at it on my phone. Hillary's at 60-some%. Trump's down at 20%. She's going to be president because he turns people off.
That's the assumption that she is going to be the Democratic nominee, and she still has to clear the FBI primary, which is another whole issue. But look, assuming that that's
even
the race,
worrying about that, she's still way ahead of Trump because he's a bad bully.
That's a characterization that you will use, but there's a reason why he is winning. And again, it's about projecting strength. He is selling strength, and he is projecting authority and confidence, which are two things that are necessary but not sufficient for a winning candidate.
Sample of his strength. He admires dictators. In a Playboy interview in China, when the students poured into Tiananmen Square, the Chinese government almost blew it. Then they were vicious, horrible. They put it down with strength. That shows you the power of strength.
Right. Well, there's a difference between a Democratic leader exhibiting strength to champion American interests at home and abroad and defending and protecting the Constitution, and communist dictators like the ones that you cited. And when he's been asked about that, when he said nice things about Putin or the communist leadership, he says, what I am trying to say is that there is a virtue in being a strong leader, because it is about protecting the American people. That's why his stance is on, say, illegal immigration and the wall, or the trade deals that have been negotiated by both sides. What he is saying is, I will be a strong champion of the American worker and of the American people.
So the trade deal, he's going to impose tariffs. How is being a champion of Americans to put a 35% tariff on something and make poor people pay more for things?
Right, and this is an issue that I have with him as a conservative.
Good.
And look, I share a lot of the concerns about Donald Trump that a lot of my fellow conservatives have. Okay, I understand the phenomenon, but when it comes to nuts and bolts issues like this, I do have a problem with what he is talking about.
Trump, I think, is most destructive when he threatens trade. And recently, the Carrier air conditioning company announced that it'll build a factory in Mexico. So Trump said he'll impose a 35% tariff on anything they make.
Within 24 hours, the head of Carrier is going to call me, and he's going to say, Mr. President, we've decided to stay in the United States. That's what's going to happen, folks.
Look,
he's a bully, going to intimidate business, and you have to come kiss his ring to get permission to do things.
This is another issue that I have, this protectionist impulse that you see in Donald Trump. But as a strictly political matter, if you want to know one of the reasons why he's winning, John, it is because he makes
people like hearing this stuff.
And
they don't understand economics.
But people still have pride in made in America. Now, to hire a worker here and produce a product, it does cost a lot more than to produce something in, say, Mexico or China.
It's going to cost even more if we can't import cheap ingredients from Mexico and China.
And a lot of this it puts poorer folks, like the working class, at a disadvantage, because it ends up being a tax on goods and services that they need every day. But from a strictly political standpoint, what he is saying is, I am going to make sure that the American worker is protected. And they have felt raped, neglected, abused, dismissed, ignored, silenced for a very long time.
Well, just you wait. If Trump takes power,